Welcome to Two Doctors Homestead. My name's Daniel, and thank you for being here. It's a beautiful summer day, which is why I'm doing this inside, but appreciate you always for watching. Want to jump in on a book I read recently. See if we can get on the screen. It's Prepper's Financial Guide by Jim Cobb. Just wanted to walk through the book. Just read it. I thought I was impressed, right? It's a pretty impressive book. There's a lot of great information here. Some of the stuff I'm going to read directly from the book. There's one section I wanted to lean into. Now, I did go on the Kindle. I did go electronic on it, as much as a lot of great information. I wouldn't necessarily call it a survival reference book, like you got the bush crafting guides, things like that, sort of survival reference that you want that hardback or that paperback book. Actual physical book is where I was going with that. But it is a good book. I think it is well worth reading. Want to kind of talk through some of the sections. I already did a video specifically on barter goods, post-apocalyptic barter. Kind of gave my opinion on that. So the book, Prepper's Financial Guide, Jim Cobb, Strategies to Invest, Stockpile, and Build Security for Today and the Post-Collapse Marketplace. So it was written in 2015, and you can sort of tell. I don't want to say it's dated. It's about 9 years old at this point, but there's a couple areas where like, hey, that's not really how it is anymore, right? And he's got some prices in there like, man, I wish that was the price. But other than that, other than just being 9 years old, a lot's changed since 2015. I think all of the information is still relevant. So some things like pricing, you're like, yeah, that's not so much the case anymore. So the book opens up with what is economic collapse and provides a few great examples of economic collapse. And it's something I've wanted to get into content-wise as far as the videos go. And I think this book kind of opened that up for me a little bit. Wasn't quite sure how to approach it. But it gives examples. Germany, 1921 to 1924. United States, 1929 to 1940. Argentina, 1998 to 2002, and then of course the Great Recession, 2007-2009, that was no doubt an economic collapse. I think it impacted a lot of people, but also has what would collapse look like today, and I actually wanted to read some of that from the book just to give you a feel for the writing. All right, it says, imagine the company you work for is one of the few in the area still operating, for now at least. Granted, your paycheck has been cut almost in half due to wage reductions, but something's better than nothing. On your way to work, you see gas has jumped in price again, almost $9 a gallon now. Luckily, you live close enough that you can ride your bike to work, which saves you gas, but isn't going to be much fun in a month or so when the snow starts flying. Imagine you go to the store to buy groceries and your credit card is refused. I don't mean, excuse me, sir, your card has been declined. I mean, the store won't take credit cards or even checks. As you dig into your wallet to see how much cash you have on hand, an announcement comes over the loudspeaker informing everyone the store will be closing in 15 minutes, even though it is the middle of the day. Imagine stopping at the ATM on your way home from work. The screen tells you the ATM is out of order, and you see a sign taped to the door of the bank holiday closed until further notice. Some quick mental math adding that what is in your pocket and what you have stashed at home concludes you have a whopping $52 to your name. With milk running around $8 a gallon and bread at $5 a loaf, this isn't good. Our world is far different today than it was back in the 1930s. Our society today is one of immediate gratification, whether you're talking about the latest hit from the single Susie, casting but looks great in a bikini on a half calf, no foam, little smash this bottle and cut you if you forget the sprinkles again, double latte. Just about anything can be had with a simple click of a mouse or swipe of a credit card. The thought of actually saving up for something you want is lost on many people. As a result, should extreme hard times come again, like they did in the days of the Great Depression, many of these people become exceedingly desperate. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, obviously, but there's a lot of good information, a lot of good scenarios, a lot of good things to get you to think about in terms of what a modern financial collapse would look like. And I say modern, but I mean, we just had one. Great Recession, 2007, 2009. A lot of people lost their businesses, jobs, houses. It was a big deal, and a lot of people speculate we're in a recession now, right? We can certainly see the impact of inflation, and where does that go, right? Do things start getting better? Do they get worse? A lot of speculation, 2024, 2025. I mean, what's to come? But the book gives you some strategies. It gives you some things to think about, to prepare. The next chapter is on debt debt reduction. Talks about budgeting. Certainly budgeting is important, has a lot of great information on that. Realistic debt reduction. Credit cards, right? Let's talk about credit cards. Utilities, how to save money on utilities. And sometimes it's just being energy efficient. Are you turning off lights? Are you turning off appliances you're not using? Turn off the water when you brush your teeth. Sometimes those little things can add up. Telephone, internet, cable. What do you need, right? Do you need cable? I know we cut the cord on cable a long time ago. I think a lot of people have. Food, groceries, strategies around that. Certainly eating at home versus eating out. Restaurants are expensive. We do the Prepper Pantry series, and there's, you can live on $1 a day. I'm not saying you should or you want to, but certainly food and groceries is an area where there could be some flexibility. Health expenses, how to deal with those, rent, mortgage, credit management, navigating credit reports, and then ideas for bringing in extra income, side jobs, that kind of thing. And I think in this economy, a lot of people are already doing that. And that's where you kind of jump in and say, okay, well, a lot maybe's changed since 2015. I suspect a lot of people are already doing a lot of these things, but it has some good information, good ideas around debt reduction and how you might do that. Chapter on currency that I actually really like talks about commodity currency. It gives the example of things like cigarettes in prison, right? Sometimes in certain environments, certain situations, commodities can work as currency. Cigarettes in prison was an example. Fiat currency, we all love our fiat currency. Safe world currencies, and once again, a lot's changed since 2015. What you might consider a safe currency then, maybe you wouldn't now. But the idea is, if you're in U.S. and you're on the U.S. dollar and you want to start diversifying currencies, there was the movie, Civil War movie, A24, Civil War. They had switched over to Canadian currency, right? They're like, oh, we don't take U.S. dollars, we'll take Canadian currencies. So the idea of safe world currencies, risky world currencies, cryptocurrencies, a lot of different things on currency, a lot of good information. I said, well worth reading on that. Section on precious metals and minerals, gold and silver, right? Of course, everyone knows about gold and silver, but also talks about platinum, palladium, diamonds, gemstones. There's some cool information in here on that. How to test if a coin is real, and it's got different processes, different things you can do. So if someone hands you a gold coin, how do you know it's real? Same thing with a silver coin. So it actually is pretty cool in that sense. If you ever see yourself in a situation where you need to be able to identify, is that gold real? Is that silver real, right? Post-collapse barter, trade goods. So we already did a video on that, what you would focus on. If you were focused on bartering, hits things like vices, consumables, medical supplies, hand tools, hygiene supplies, and clothing. And someone made a comment on the barter video about lighters, and there was the story from the guy that actually survived an Shtf situation, where he said lighters, like if he had to do it again, something like a box of lighters was actually a pretty common, you could say, commodity currency. It was a very valuable trade item. Bartering skills, it has a chapter on bartering skills. I know we talked about that before. Rather than saving all these little things, these items you might want to have in this Mad Max post-apocalyptic scenario that you could trade with, having skills is always going to be valuable. It's valuable now, it would be valuable post-collapse. He highlighted some skills that might be more valuable post-collapse, and first one, of course, being medicine. That would be important, right? Everyone needs a doctor, whether it's now or in the apocalypse, but also other areas, animal husbandry, home brewing, right? Everyone wants their beer, soap making, sewing, mechanics, cooking, baking, food preservation, and there's a long list, and he gets into each one and provides some detail in each one. All good skills to think about, whether you're a prepper, survivalist, homesteader, whatever you are. Those are actually a good list of skills that I think you'd want to consider developing. He has a chapter on safeguarding valuables, so things like safes, hiding spots, caches. It's got some good info there on if burglars coming in, where are they going to look at, where are they not going to look at. So some good psychology in there. Has some good ideas. Investing in self-sufficiency, homesteading, food production, wild edibles, meat production, hunting, food preservation, harvesting water. How to dig a well was a cool section, and then wild medicine. So those were all good. So it was in the self-sufficiency chapter. And then there's the putting it all together, which really talks about building a homestead. And I think as a prepper, you want to push, and we've said this many times, part of being prepared, is pushing towards self-sufficiency, and homesteading is sort of the actualization. It's living in more of a self-sufficient manner, right? That's all homesteading is, and I think it does tie in well with prepping. So it was nice to see in a prepper book a whole chapter on homesteading, building out the homestead. Once again, skills you'd want to look at, areas you'd want to focus on. So once again, good book. I think it's good advice. Jim Cobb, Prepper's Survival. Let me see. Prepper's Financial Guide, Jim Cobb, Strategies to Invest, Stockpile, and Build Security for Today, and the Post-Collapse Marketplace. So hope that helps out. Just sharing ideas, sharing books, a couple things I've read, some things I think you might want to check out. So hope that helps out, and we appreciate you.